go to where you're going. Go put your feet on the ground and speak with those people that you plan on partnering up with. And just as much as my agent partner gave me personality tests, I had a list of questions for her as well to see if we align in that aspect and what is the workspace. Find out what truly matters to you and then see wherever you're going if they have that.
Welcome back to Real Estateable, your go-to podcast for raw, real, and relevant information in the real estate world. Today we have a guest. This is Nicole Collard. She is a former Tennessee's Elite member who moved to Tampa due to the military, built a successful real estate career, and now has returned to Fort Campbell, and she's back with us at Tennessee's Elite.
Because she loved us so much.
Yes.
And she really likes the cold.
She loves Tennessee over Tampa.
And you're going to hear all about that in the next 30 minutes of us interviewing her. It's super near and dear to her heart. And we're so excited to share what she's learned moving real estate markets, which I know a lot of us can relate to when life just happens and you have to pick up your business and you completely restart. So we cannot wait to have a conversation all about what she has learned.
All right, give it a listen.
Hey guys, we're so excited to have Nicole Collard, one of our near and dear agents with Tennessee's Elite. She is here today to talk about how it all started and where it has gone over the years of her being licensed. Started in 2019 with Tennessee's Elite. So Nicole, talk to us about getting into real estate. What made you decide to start real estate, and walk us through those years before you left the area.
So what made me start real estate is really stay-at-home mom. In the life that we live, I live as a military wife, an active duty military wife. And this was what I thought, right, outside it, was flexible.
Yeah.
Oh, flexible job. I was like, make your own hours, but no, you're saying flexible. Oh, right.
And we were picking up properties with a VA loan, and just seeing the closing disclosure was like, well, you could be making this money and we could be saving this money.
Yeah.
As we're picking up properties, because he doesn't plan to retire anytime soon. So that's why I originally got into real estate. Yeah.
Well, and that's awesome too, because I know that you've shared with me a lot about your investing, and that like you guys have investment properties now that are just like paid off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome. You built a successful business here in Tennessee, and we were so sad to see you go. Excited that you were going to the Sunshine State. What was the hardest part about moving as a real estate agent? Like starting your own business, what do you think was the hardest part?
The hardest part is that, we work 6 months out.
Yep.
So letting go of my clients here into the hands of my team. And that was really hard. So letting go of control.
Oh, yeah.
And then putting control in a higher power, if you will, because that's what I believe in, and to guide me to through the Tampa market. So that was the biggest challenge in recreating, rebranding it. It was just all consuming.
And how many years were you here in Tennessee before the move came up? Because I know that it was kind of like looming. It wasn't like overnight you guys moved. So how many years were you selling here in Tennessee before the whole conversation started about the Tampa move?
So I knew this is military life. So if anybody is real estate and military, they'll understand you're in this limbo before you get papers, and papers don't necessarily mean that you're moving there at this moment. Like dates can shift. And so I knew about a year out that was a possibility that we would be moving.
When did you get your license then? If you knew you were a year out, did you start your license like as soon as you got orders? Did you consider just like taking a 2-year break, or?
So I did consider all of they've already, because I knew it was going to be a challenge to build business. So I did think about that. However, thank you to the second lady. She put into order that if you were a military spouse and you can prove you were married, you had orders, and you were active in another state, then you had incentives to transfer straight to Florida.
When you say second lady, you literally mean the president's wife.
Yes,
saying that, right?
Second lady. Yeah, she came to speak with us at the 160th compound,
Okay.
and she told us about the program, and she had certain states, and Florida was one of those states.
Wow, nice. I did not know that.
I didn't either.
So there was benefits of you transferring, like almost like assistance for you to transfer incentives to be able to make that happen. That is pretty cool. happened to
Yeah.
be the States? Because I know with my husband is currently active duty still. Ashley's husband is retired. And there, I feel like out of anyone that we work with, even clients, Nicole talks about the possibility of moving consistently. Like it's in a constant state of what's next, maybe, I don't know, yes, no. And so I feel like it's hard for us as business owners to plan when you're like, I'm not quite sure which way I should be pivoting, where I'm going to be able to pick up and make happen. Like, how can I plan? That was really difficult, I feel like.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there is no planning,
yeah.
right? You just got
Yeah.
to do what is in front of you at the moment. And in that moment, I decided, yes, everything was pointing to, yes, get licensed in Florida. So that's what I did.
And when did you know for sure? Because I know you said a year out, you were thinking it was possible. When did you know for sure that the move was happening?
Probably 6 months prior to me
Okay.
going to look for houses. That's when it was definite. We were going down. And of course, we needed to know if we were actually moving before we bought the house because orders doesn't get you out of buying a house.
Yes. 100%. Okay.
So when you're choosing like where you're going to work, did you look at teams? Did you look at solo? How did you make that decision?
Well, I am a team player, so I already knew that much.
Yeah.
Randomly, I went on to Facebook. I'm not a very Facebook person. I'm more of an IG girl, but I logged on to Facebook to learn about the area I was going to, and somebody was a solo agent and was starting up a team.
Oh, okay.
And so I reached out, and that's actually the team that I chose.
Was it just you and her? Or were there other agents too?
It was me and her, and right before I left Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
I brought somebody on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And did you consider other options, or was it just like that was immediately what you knew was the right next move?
So I actually had another option from another source who isn't affiliated with real estate, but she referred me to a friend. We actually work in the same brokerage while I was down there.
Oh, cool.
However, we didn't align, and so I stuck with my first choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you're really good at that, about like keeping what's important to you and like yourself and your mental health and all of those things. Like you take all of that into consideration. I just love that about you.
Oh, thanks.
So when you decided, you were like, okay, this is the right choice, this is the right move, which I believe, like now being on the flip side of that, 100% believe the steps were aligned just perfectly. But when you're looking at that and you're like, okay, cool, because a lot of coming from a team that's established to a team that's just starting, which was really kind of more like a partnership, but really was kind of, Tampa is such a large area in comparison to where we're selling. And it just a completely different model of how you were doing business down there. What were your first steps in going, okay, I'm going to do this and I got to get off the ground running? Because it was not like you knew moving to Tampa, not necessarily you were coming back, but that was just a stop along the road. Very likely this was not like, cool, we're going to stay here and then retire. Like that's just not the season that
We wanted that to be the season.
Yeah, well, we want a lot of we know Nicole. We know Nicole. You walk in the front door. This is not Tampa. Like we're well aware. We're well aware. But like, what were the first steps? Because I think that's the overwhelming part where people who are going somewhere temporary. I know I struggled with that when my husband went to go teach flight school for a 3-year period. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not even worth the 3-year restart of this, which that timeline, the military surprise turned that into a 2-year, which you're going to share that as well. Like it's a lot of work that you're like, but for what? When you work 6 months ahead, well, now my 3-year timeline's 2.5, but I got to get ready. So now I've talked myself down to a 2-year career. Like, what was your first steps in thinking through all of that? Once you chose where to land, which I think the where is the most important part.
Yeah.
But then from there, what was like okay, now I have to figure out how am I going to nose to the ground, continue to build after the restart? What did that look like?
Well, because at the end of the day, this is really a small world. Like the military, it's very large. However, the Army is very small. So I feel like everybody gets wrapped back around. And honestly, you all know this, but we give the same level of service no matter what. So whether they are with me and then I leave, they are still with me. They're stuck with me, unfortunately. Fortunately for them, they are still stuck with me. So that is, and I do want to share something. And I waited literally for this podcast to happen.
Oh my God. All right, cut anything. This is on the extra scenes on this. Oh God, what?
Just for the real and the raw.
Yeah.
I will be relocating to North Carolina.
No, ma'am. No.
So you are going to get the real and the raw of transferring to the different.
Just give me the chill.
This is bullcrap. This is not what this podcast is about. Okay, guys, plot twist, because we're like, okay, we're doing the darn thing, because Nicole has come back with, I mean, so much knowledge to our real estate team, but honestly, I feel like your grit and tenacity is 10x from what it was, which obviously that happens with more time in the business. But what you learned in the restart, I feel like has grown you not only as a person, but as a realtor too. And I'm going to start crying because I'm like, this is bullcrap. You can't pull the move on the podcast.
But this is what we wanted to report on, right?
Yeah,
right. It's about the military life and restarting. Just like all the emotions are like flooding back all over. Like, what do I do in North Carolina? Is it going to align like it did in Florida? Like, it's overwhelming and so many thoughts. However, I know that I am going to be good.
Yeah.
But
so let's talk about what were first steps in Tampa, because we want to talk about first steps coming back too.
Yeah.
So what worked for you then? Because I really feel like that's what you need to be focusing, your energy, time, because otherwise, like, the universe says you're going to fail. And those voices are so loud to anyone in entrepreneurship, right? And so I guarantee you that's been one of the loudest voices of like, okay, I can't take another restart. But what did you do that worked so well? Because I'm telling you guys, she crushed the Tampa market in 2.3 seconds. I know she might not have felt that way, but I can tell you otherwise that was the truth. So what, outside of picking the right partnership, which was what probably 80% of your success was making sure you were aligned with the right person. But then what, outside of, okay, got it, the circle of referrals, the circle of people that like naturally followed you to Tampa, what other activities what you're doing that was like almost like an instant ignition, kind of like the restart happened so quickly?
Well, taking from this team to a person that is growing a team and implementing things that I needed, that I saw beneficial to me and our team here.
Yeah.
However, my team lead here, Tiffany, and my team lead there are two totally different
personalities. Yep.
So
which one do you like better? Just kidding. We're going to block Melanie from this, I guess. Go ahead, say to me.
So my team lead there, actually, I would divulge like things that I believe that would make us better.
Yep.
And wanted her to implement, and was like, please, we need this.
Yeah.
And however, she was like, well, I need to take time and process this. And I'm very much like Tiffany, because that's who Green Bay originally. And I'm like, I need the answers right now.
You share with me that, like you said, hey, with Melanie, I had a once a week or twice a week, or I had a certain time that all my questions rolled into our one-on-ones. And I am definitely a leader that's instant access all the time. If you have it, do not make the wrong decision without me, because that's going to cause 67 more conversations. But I also feel like from a place of the amount of agents that we're working with versus one-on-one, I could see where that's a different approach. You know what I mean? She's only necessarily worrying about where Nicole is going wrong versus 8 to 9 chickens going wrong, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I think that's probably it. But I'm also definitely, we're two different personalities in that, where I don't have an off switch.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, she doesn't either. And that's another part, is that she came from being a solo agent to being a team. And so she had to relinquish control.
Yeah.
And that was so hard for her. And it came to points that she had to let go. Like for her health. Yeah. She had to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So first steps with that was really just figuring out what you could overflow and pour. It wasn't like a turn off Tennessee, turn on Florida. It was like, okay, there's things that I learned. There's like, I put in the time and the investment in that. I really think that is for sure what kind of ignited everything for you. But let's talk about the differences in states. So you went from Tennessee to Florida, and what were the lessons you learned on those? I mean, what was the lesson you learned on buying a house? Because it's the stuff that you don't test on to come to new markets.
Yeah.
But the things that I feel like you saying, I put in the work ahead of time, and that's how I sold more houses. So talk about that. about learning the market, like learning the nitty gritty and being the best professional that you can be for those people you had the opportunity selling?
I would say like our market down in Tampa, it's very much a civilian market.
Yep.
And we are military based in Clarksville. So we really have to protect our veterans that are stationed down there. And it was all about protecting them because there are so many factors in Florida homes, especially Tampa. They don't have HOA. They have HOAs, but their HOAs are really small, but they have development fees. Like it's huge. It's
Like
called
what
a CDD.
Yeah.
So in addition to your HOA is everything that surrounds it by the developer. So it's like the pools and everything, splash pads. And as for ownership, as you pay onto your CDD, it will be reduced. So then the next person that buys the house will take from your CDD and they'll reduce it down. Eventually, your CDD will be zero.
Okay.
Eventually, years.
Yeah. So there's no benefit in paying that ahead. You're just going to benefit unless you're going to die in that house, I guess. But
But that can make a drastic change in your
affordabilities. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for military, they have a BAH, that's a housing allowance for military. And people won't even consider the CDDs, which will drastically change your mortgage payments.
Yeah, until it's too late.
Yes.
And they're like, wait a minute, this house is actually $300,000 is like $1,000 more a month because of that or something to that nature.
Taxes.
Plus taxes.
Plus taxes. And so when you go and buy a house in Tampa, that they also reassess from when you purchase, from when that owner purchased. So then they'll say the value went up. Now the taxes would have skyrocketed. Say you lived in the house since the 80s and you sold in 2024. Your taxes are going to drastically increase the following year for that buyer.
oh,
And then you're hit with the new taxes, the CDD. So I've seen horror stories.
I'm never doing real estate for it.
Never mind. We changed our mind about Florida.
But
My God.
But I have witnessed our clients who actually bought with another agent and their agent wasn't as knowledgeable. And then in a year, they reached out to us like, hey, we cannot afford our mortgage payment. So when we would run numbers for our clients, we would run numbers for currently after you buy the house and then projected in a year. This is what it's going to look like.
And you were doing that as the agent, not as the mortgage company.
No, as the agent.
As the
because
agent.
then
Okay.
we're not going to go see this property.
Yeah. That's the due diligence you were talking about.
Yeah. Tampa is very large. So like,
I saved miles and miles on my car.
It could be like an hour and a half one way just to go show them this property that they could potentially not afford a mortgage payment in a year. Then that's off the list.
I remember you telling me, like, talking about the commute times to showings and things like that, and that you use Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever to see, like, okay, this house backs up to a double yellow line. This neighborhood doesn't have sidewalks. You didn't want this. So you saved a lot of time by just doing a quick Google of the property, knowing if it would work or not before you made that drive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't imagine driving that far.
When you talk about this too, because this could be like the differences in any kind of market. This is an extreme scenario. I did not realize how big, like you explained that, but I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. And it's crazy that agents wouldn't be doing that. I'm like, all of that work to find out that they like loan denial or just the.
Nobody wants that phone call in a year when they're like, hey, I can't afford this now. You
Literally.
You never said anything. You never mentioned these. That would crush me, I feel like.
So crazy different on that. How did you know, like, was it because you partnered with the right person doing the due diligence? I know that you created a plan around, okay, got it. This is the new environment that I have to work in. Where am I going to find my success path, right? But how did you know that was even a thing? Was that because you purchased and through the purchasing thing?
Well, I knew about it from purchasing because we did purchase into a CDD.
Okay.
However, my agent did not run it as projected. Projected taxes and future.
So you were a victim to that.
Yes, I was. But no, so Melanie, that is my agent partner in Florida. That is her name. And she actually has an approach, and we called it the smarter, not harder approach, because the legwork on, hey, Google Earth it, run the numbers, see if it aligns. If not, then scratch it off the list. So we're able to decrease the inventory that the client gives us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what really helped me is Melanie's implementation of the work smarter, not harder.
Do you guys see how she's using the data to analyze? The data nerd.
Well, also Melanie, that was her previous job. She was a data analysis.
Okay.
So that's why her and Tiffany are complete opposite seconds too.
I like her.
Snooze alert. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you work primarily with military people? Did you find it hard you said it wasn't like a super military town there, it was more civilian. So did you find that the civilian side was like harder to trust you because maybe you've only lived there for 6 months or a year and maybe you don't know the market as well because you're newer here?
No, because I believe like that market is so totally different. I mean, even from Destin doesn't have CDDs. Yeah. Tampa does. And so even just that variation between cities.
Yeah.
I feel like I was a super knowledgeable and I was confident in what I knew and that I was only trying to protect.
That's awesome.
Would you say that buyers and sellers down there, like, so when you're analyzing the differences in like behaviors, like from Tennessee, and really, I know I can see a difference between like Fort Campbell area to Nashville area to like the surrounding counties and all of that. Did you feel like there was a drastic difference in buyer and seller behavior down there too? Like that you're working with different types of personalities,
Oh, yes.
right?
Well, personalities, time zones, like a lot of our people came from overseas.
Yeah.
So working in other time zones where they were stationed, 100%, I feel like you're always working with personalities.
See, that stuff excites me though, when I'm like, oh, wait, I might need to change complete state to get like that challenge back.
No, you don't.
No, it's funny because I have one of my repeat clients just got, he's moving back to the area and he wants to look outside of Nashville. Well, my plate right now is not a Nashville buyer kind of thing, but I'm like, challenge accepted. Let's go. Where am I fitting this in my schedule? I don't know, but I love like that. Let's go to somewhere where I have to do more due diligence, more homework, more smarter, not harder. When you get so complacent in things like that kind of stuff ignites, but I do think it takes grit and tenacity because so easy when you obviously had the start, reset.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, that is like a completely different mindset to go, cool, I have no fail plan. I'm only succeeding. I'm going to align with the right people. I'm going to equip myself and I'm going to have the confidence that I'm going to make this happen. So crazy how all that works. I'm still just don't even know what to say because that's not on our to-do conversation for today to talk about another move.
But y'all wanted the real other all of the things. We would have asked surprise, so you could have told us yesterday.
We would have had the same if you see our faces if you're watching this. Oh my gosh.
How long did it take you to sell your first home in Tampa? Was it pretty quick or was it
Oh
6
my
months?
gosh. Oh my gosh. It was so scary. It was so scary, but also I was plugged into the right people, right places. I literally believe like my timeline across the board from moving to Tampa all the way through and leaving was perfection.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
I fell into the right hands and our stager down there, I found her and she hooked us up with all the things. And I knew as an agent what exactly was going to sell, right?
Yep.
But to stand out in a cookie cutter area,
Yes.
that was the hard part.
My friend just sold, well, it's not closed, it's under contract, but it took a long time for her house to go under contract because the same thing, it's a cookie cutter in a HOA, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It is under contract.
Well, what do you think your strategies were for that? So you just talked about like the things, I guess, the stumbling blocks for your success. What did you do to overcome that? Was that like a social media strategy? Like, how did you change perception on those things that you just said were really things that people would choose to not work with you? How did you set yourself up for success? Because like you said, it was perfectly aligned out. Or I already kind of know what you're going to say. Or was it just really right people, right time, and it just kind of laid out as a perfect map?
Right people, right time.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling you, like you guys, the universe, she is incredible. She will deliver.
Yeah.
So Melanie is a data analyst. She is a keyboard warrior, and she generated pretty much all of our leads through Facebook. And the thing is that we lived in different areas of Tampa. So she would service one and I would service the other. And then the others will, hey, throw it out. Who's going to service these? So she really, that's where the times that she needed her mental break, Facebook was her mental break.
Mhm.
So some people detach from that. And for
Yeah.
her, it was a distraction. So she was able to and lead generate for us.
Yeah.
So she was really the whole piece to the puzzle on getting all our leads.
I feel like you are super like social, you like people-y, and you're always talking to everybody. Is that kind of what you did for lead gen there? Like aside from the Facebook leads, were you just like, hey, plug me into this mom group, plug me into this military spouse group, just getting connected just anywhere you could?
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. If you just talk real estate to
Mhm.
anybody in yoga and cycling, whatever, people will automatically talk real estate. Yeah, they can.
Even if it's wrong, they're like so confident.
So much.
Yeah, they're so confident that you're like, you watch too much HGTV.
Well, before we roll off of Tampa, because now we have a whole nother thing to be talking about. Rolling off of Tampa, is there anything you would have done differently in Tampa? Like anything different besides stay longer? Do not use that as what you would for that. But anything you would have done differently, learned from it, if like taking this, I guess, really into your next move, anything that could have been done differently that a listener could learn from.
Not at all. I wouldn't change anything. The people, the places, the things, everything that I've learned, I brought back with me. So no, I use
Wouldn't change
great everything.
Yeah. And that all stem from the right partnership.
Mhm.
I think that's so important. I mean, even where you're sitting right now, things can drastically change just by the people you're surrounding yourself with. I just posted about this on my social media that literally your limits are only what you put on yourself. That
Yeah.
you can accomplish anything with the right people and the right mindset. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter what, career path you're in. It's so true. So true.
And also one thing that I will say, before I interviewed with Melanie, before I decided to go with her, and she sent me 2 personality tests to take.
To data analysis.
Yeah, to analyze me. It was the Myers-Briggs
Okay.
test, and I forgot the other one, the DISC. Yes, and we were complete opposite on things,
Mhm.
which it was a gain for her.
Yeah.
Since we were complete opposites.
Yeah. We just test 2 coming into team. But I feel like you need to update that because
Yeah.
people have changed over time too.
For
But
sure.
yes, disc testing. I've not heard of the other one too. So, well, let's take a quick break and then we're going to talk about the move back to Tennessee and now the new impending move as well. Are you looking for ways to become more efficient and save time in your day as a real estate agent?
We've got the thing for you. We have created 18 done-for-you email templates that cover the entire process on the buying side and the selling side.
The best part is that this is only $49 and includes customizable email templates for the process to get you through start to finish with your buyers and sellers.
Head over to realestateable.com/email templates, and that's where you can find them. All right, so Nicole changed the whole outline of this episode by dropping a bomb on us that she's moving
Again.
I
love it though, because I'm like, if anyone can do this and have the success story and be like the trophy of the military wife with a business that can restart and succeed. Because I mean, coming back to Tennessee, you have really taken that by storm too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not even necessarily like I saw contracts turn in Tampa, but you have gotten back to the basics and those things that if you would have done that to start with, the comeback would have been so much different. And I also feel like right now, like the relationship building is different coming back too. So talk about coming back from Tampa, the letdown that guess what? The Army's moved you back to Tennessee. Talk about what that looks like and then just like your strategy. Because we had a whole move to a brand new office in the middle of that. How long have you been back?
was just going to say, I feel like you just got back.
Wait, when did you get?
It's been over a year though.
Yeah. We literally moved July 4th. So
Yeah,
this
that's right.
July 4th of 2025, that will be 2 years. So we get a whole 2 years here, but he only gave me 14 months.
Instead of Tampa. Okay, so you got to go back to Tampa, get your for 18 months.
She already is planning on just retiring there with or without TJ. So it doesn't matter. No, wait. I mean, maybe North Carolina will be even better. Maybe all these lessons will go.
When are you going
Yes.
to North Carolina-ish? July 4th.
We are We have to be there when the kids start school.
Oh my
Okay.
The kids, they just take everything from you.
Literally, when the kids start school.
Okay. So are you already starting to are you going to get your license there?
So I did speak with somebody yesterday.
Okay.
To let me know the process and military aspect
Process.
of doing it. And I believe I am.
Okay.
I'm like 75% sure I am. Again, it's like the timing. This is another part of the military aspect. I don't know how long I'm going to be there.
I was just going to ask. That was
If
the
I mean,
next question.
in direction to go back to Tampa.
For you.
But
Disapprove.
But the next stint that he takes on is a year, and then it could be another 2 years there. So it could be a year, and then I go back to Tampa.
And he is, okay, how many years has he been in? Because military wives are going, what is he doing so I can avoid ever having a husband doing this? Because he's already past the ability to be able to retire, but we're still pushing through opportunity.
February 17th, he will be at his 22nd year.
22nd year.
Wow.
And so, but the game plan obviously is not to quit here. So he's just moving from opportunity because if you know TJ, he is like A++ soldier. Like
Yeah.
this is the soldier's soldier, just like Nicole is the realtor's realtor, the realtor's military realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's just been presented with a lot of opportunity because this is an opportunity that he's able to go into some type of lead, to advance on that. So it's just going to be basically the timing of where the Army has more opportunities for him to continue to pocket.
But that
advancement.
the more you climb up in this part is more. There's less places you can go.
Correct. That's why I'm like, it's the timing of that. Eventually there may not even be a place where it's like, it's naturally, but you're hoping that ends up happening in the Tampa.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not looking good for
Oh my God.
no matter what way we look at this. And it's so crazy because I was thinking about this and I'm going to start crying because the kids came up to me on Sunday and were hugging me, Miss Tiff. Oh my gosh. And it was like, no one else existed. They had to come to Miss Tiff. And Chris said to me, he's like, it's like they're your kids. And I was like, at a certain point in time, the Army's not going to keep people together. And I'm like, at what point in time do these kids not think that? Because I know like when we visited you in Tampa, it was still the same. But eventually, like I have friends over my husband's been 26 years where those kids' kids are no longer your kids, your Army given family. And so that is the part that sucks. Really, really, really bad in all of this stuff. So, okay, so you have a couple more months. So coming back, you're a year and a half into Tennessee. What is your strategy in all of this? Because you're going to be learning a whole new market, and I already know the North Carolina differences. Yeah. That is a whole nother due diligence conversation. So many pieces to that puzzle. So are you now talking about like kind of like the 6-month descend out of Tennessee, or are you still full throttle to the mountaintop until the minute you're out of Tennessee? So what is that strategy?
And unfortunately, we work 6 months out, right? That is part of this military marriage that my husband quote unquote understands, right? It's bittersweet, and I'm really happy he found a job. Congratulations. However, I have business here, and this is PCS season. If anybody's not military, it's the time where we move stations.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Like my spring, summer clients will be closing and I'll be leaving.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to divulge this on the pod, because I was like, secrecy is not going to get us anywhere. I need support, if anything.
100%.
This military community will fully support you in all your endeavors if you are just open and transparent.
Yeah.
Well, I also kind of think too, like with every person in every scenario, when they know what's happening, it's like some people will make decisions sooner. Like, oh, we're thinking about buying in the fall with Nicole. Wait, Nicole's not going to be here. Okay, it's a now plan because Nicole is our person.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, hey, Nicole, like this isn't happening until the end of the year, but we need you to make the introduction for someone that we can trust through this and like get us as far ahead as we can through the process. So
that's why growing our team has been so great. We added more bodies and more personalities to team.
Yep.
So that honestly gave me like a weight off my shoulders too. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like when I'm going back and reflecting on my future clients and how I'm going to be of service to them here.
And so to back up all the way back up. So when you left Tennessee the first time and went to Tampa, super likely coming back to Tennessee, hopefully not, but super likely, you left your license active here in Tennessee. So you still worked referral business. You still did a lot of stuff through team partnering with you. Same strategy leaving, because it doesn't look like the stars are going to align back to our favor. This is dumb. I'm going to talk to the universe. Flip this. But is that the same strategy? Because you can work referrals and partnerships and all of that from a place of not being licensed. Have you thought that far ahead?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. And I think that there's pros and cons for that.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, I think there's more cons if you are for sure that the door is closed. But here's the thing is there's never for sure.
Yeah,
It
and as
never-
much as I say that we are going to North Carolina, there is still that it's the military. There still is that chance that something happens and TJ takes. I mean, I'm praying here that he takes the group in Destin.
Yeah.
Like if that is a possibility. There is
Still.
one seat in 3 places that TJ can be plugged into.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that this is solid. It is solid, but anything could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans have to be in the right places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of a TBD on that. And do you know what will drive your decision on that? Just thinking from the listener standpoint on whether or not to keep an active license, I feel like kind of is driven by, because is your Tampa license still active? Like, is your Florida? And what drove you to not
Yeah.
keep
Why
that
didn't you do that?
active?
Because I thought I was getting licensed in Kentucky. And
Oh.
so guess what? I was getting licensed in Kentucky. And I've been waiting on my husband's job.
Yeah.
And to see if I'm moving forward with that. Now I am no longer getting licensed in Kentucky. Yet I need to focus on North Carolina.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, once you get licensed in other states, you have dues and fees.
That's
and,
what
and
I-
education.
Education.
Yes.
So, but all I have to do is go back and do the military program again. It's called a military endorsement.
Mhm.
And I can just do that same thing and I can be plugged right back in.
So I think I agree with you, because when I left Tennessee to go to Alabama, it was all about what does it take to restart it? Does it make more sense to hold on to it active? What are the dues and the responsibilities to keep it active? So I think it's more so about like, if you don't, the what's. Because here's the thing on that, we closed the door to Tennessee like it was slammed shut. Trying to get Kentucky reactivated was an act of baloney. Like it was nuts for what had to happen for that. Tennessee, not so much. But when I closed the door in Tennessee, I'm like, okay, cool. It's a tic-tac-toe to get back activated. Never once thought about my reciprocal in Kentucky. And that was firstborn child. The second one's half of its leg. You might want your husband or your third husband, and we still might not let you, and you need to retest and take 120 of hours and all the things. Like it was nutso on that. So I think your strategy, not bad to go, okay, what is the likelihood and what does it take for me for Tennessee to reactivate as well? So
Do you think there's like a certain time? So like if TJ's like, hey, we're going to be here for a year, or if we're going to be here for 2 years, that will kind of like be a driving factor in if you get licensed there or not.
But no, I'm going
You
to,
are for
I'm
sure.
pursuing.
Okay.
I'm 100% pursuing. And then hopefully I will be somewhat licensed or halfway through it, more than halfway by the time we get there.
Yeah.
That is my goal.
well, and the cool thing too is I feel like you said, all of the circles intertwine. We are constantly sending people to where you're heading.
Yeah.
And you are constantly receiving.
I have
Well,
one
from
right
Canada.
now, but they're leaving and they need to be there in April.
You got to go.
Otherwise,
there.
I would refer you.
All right. Tell TJ for your job's sake, you're going sooner. No. Do not do that, man. So, okay. So velocity to get you to this next move. So you're like, I'm working 100% even past the move for the transition to figure out what this means for my business here. I think you've done too much work for it to just be like, all right, I'm coasting into the move type scenario. Have you looked at your book of business and really, I mean, I feel like you just learned this. So I'm like, I'm throwing you your to-do list. Have you figured your life out yet? But I would think that like one of the things to look at too is really to almost like be personally touching everybody to see where the needs are, so you can kind of categorize and almost make the introduction to say, oh, Aubrey is the best fit for this, and Sabrina's the best fit for that, and Ashley is going to be the best fit for this, so that you're kind of like concierge with everyone while you're
But
still
a
here.
lot of my people, especially my raving fans, they already know.
That is true.
They already know that I am with a group, and luckily I have had a lot of listings here. And then those people, they know.
Yep.
They know of my team. So
Yeah.
and social media. So they already know that they don't just get me, they get plenty of others.
Yeah, even when you're here. Even when you're here too. And I think that's true too. Like when you guys are considering, like if this is a you scenario that you're like, okay, I'm unfortunately going to have to pick up and restart. Think about that too. Like, what is it that it would have helped you in the move here? Because I don't think that there's anything that you can say is permanent. Like, it's just not the way that life works. Whether you're military or not, there's a chance that things are going to move out of your favor for your business. And are you partnering with the right scenario? Are you, and even if it's you as a sole agent, are you with a company that would offer the right support in anything that life throws at you? I think that's so like taken for granted. Like it's taken for granted on that. And I think as military spouses and being in a military area where we're constantly moving people what we feel like too soon,
Yeah.
we put that at top of mind, but not people that like this could just be an upheaval of someone's life and their career and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It's not fun, that's for sure. But I do think if you have the foundation, I think that's the great part coming back to Tennessee. You have been so focused on foundation. You are in such a better place being able to leave than you were, but you also have grown. And I aged you into like 20 years into the business at the beginning of this. So you've learned so much over the years. No, it's fine. It's fine. I can't count.
Is there anything that you would do different? Like if you were like if you did one thing for Tampa and you're like, that didn't work. Is there anything that you could say you would do differently?
And this moved to North Carolina.
Yeah. And your new move.
No, because everything worked out.
It worked
so
out
well.
so good. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
You just got to find the right people.
Exactly.
The right people, and anything is possible. Okay. Well, we're going to start to be praying with the universe and the thoughts and processes of holding you closer and closer and closer to Tampa. We would let you go back to Tampa. We already know that would
catapult me back to the sunny side.
I know, but I do think it's a good thing. And if anyone can do it, honestly, out of anyone that we work with, it's not even just our team. Like we were just with our big office today. If anyone can do it, you can do it. And I'm so excited to see what that looks like for you. Excited because we love your clients. So we're like excited we get to put our arms around them. It's going to be great. But if you could leave telling the people listening like one piece of advice that would help prepare them the best, what would you say the one piece of advice is preparing them best in the move?
Go to where you're going. Like go put your feet on the ground and speak with those people that you plan on partnering up with. And just as much as like my agent partner gave me personality tests, like I had a list of questions for her as well.
Yeah.
To see if we align in that aspect and what is the workspace. Like find out what truly matters to you and then see wherever you're going if they have that.
What do you think you're most excited about with North Carolina?
Probably the unknown.
Yeah, right? Isn't that
the
best?
Because I've heard how real estate is out there.
Yeah.
And it seems drastically different even from Tennessee to Florida. So and I love to learn. So I'm interested to just start learning.
I think it's going to be I think the requirements are so much more it's a heavier level of education. It's like your license requirements and your license that you're receiving I think it's going to be a great place. And I think you're equipped now versus like at any point in time through your career. I think this is the right next, unfortunately, the right next place.
All right. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe send you some referrals in North Carolina, where can people find you?
Social media,
Okay.
of course. On Instagram, I'm the Southern Sold Sister. Sold, SOLD, not the Southern Soul. And Facebook, Nicole Collard Realtor.
Yeah.
Or just email me.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. It's been a long time in the making, but we freaking love you, and we're sad that you're moving.
Dumb.
Veto.
Delete like this never is happening. It's fine. We'll sit in the state of denial. So awesome. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's not how the episode was supposed to go for sure, but I think it shows you tenacity in whatever life hands you. I think that looking at what could be possibly ahead for us for entrepreneurship. I mean, honestly, it's crazy to think of all the challenges, the ups and downs.
Yeah, I honestly can't imagine moving markets. Like, I feel like I would.
You talked about it for 3.2.
Yeah, if Mark was like, we're PCSing, I'd be like, I'm retired. I am now retired.
We talked about that too.
I do think, though, if I were to relocate, I would probably be a referral agent because I think that's, I don't know, starting over just seems like daunting to me. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could if I had to.
Well, that's what I say too. Like if anyone could, Nicole could. Like
Yeah.
any agents that were there. But I do think there's so many different things, and it excites me to hear like how exciting change and challenges to someone. Like I think about it's almost like self-reflection. Like, should you be thinking about the challenges that are ahead for 2025? Like if you're not moving markets, if this none of this applies to you and you just really wanted to hear the tea on what was going down, are you not stepping up to the challenges that you're facing in your career? Like it could just be small changes, it could be brokerage changes, it could be ones that you're not even choosing. Like there's so many
Yeah.
different companies that are closing or consolidating or are moving to different, real estate locations. And are you taking and using that to the best advantage that you could be possibly I don't know. Like I feel like so many of us change is not fun
No,
at
but
all.
Nicole's top tip is finding the right people.
Mhm.
So if you get a weird feeling from a brokerage or a team leader or a coworker or whatever, maybe it's not the right fit. So just do your due diligence, do your interviews, check out with multiple brokerages and make sure you find that right fit because I think that that was what catapulted Nicole's success in Tampa.
Yes. Nothing is permanent. You just have to remember that nothing is
Yes.
permanent. You can always make change. So many good takeaways. We will be crying. So find us on social media to send your condolences. T minus how many months?
Yeah, you can find us everywhere at Real Estateable, and we will see you next time.